What is up, everybody? Chef Eddie Jackson here from Food Network, and I'm so happy to be with you for the Summer Getaway 2021. I got to tell you, I'm really excited about this. Being a former NFL player, but now being able to be on the other side in a totally different career and share a little bit about what I do nowadays as opposed to being on the gridiron. So today, what I'm going to be sharing with you is a recipe that is out of my book, Game Day Eats. Basically how to home gate like a pro, over 100 recipes for tailgating at home. So what we're going to be making is, I think, probably one of the best recipes that's in the book. It's the one that gets most requested whenever I do demos. It is my molasses gochujang wings with an Alabama white sauce. Now, I know some of you may be asking, what is that? All right, so I'll break it down for you. So basically, gochujang is based a fermented Korean like chili paste that has a lot of smoky notes to it. It's very sweet, but it also has some heat as well. And that's going to be the sauce that we're going to toss the wings with. And then I'm going to pair that with, I'm a Southern boy, so Alabama white sauce. So think of it as a substitution for like ranch or blue cheese. Alabama white sauce is kind of like a barbecue sauce that they use in Alabama that's traditionally served with smoked chicken. So what I'm going to do is jazz it up a little bit and add that to my wings as a topper. All right, to get right into it, first thing I want to do is get started with my Alabama white sauce. So let me get my ingredients. Oh yeah, by the way, some of you lucky people out there are going to get an autographed copy of my book, Game Day Eats. Football season is coming up pretty quickly. I think we probably about a few weeks out before preseason starts. So go ahead and get you a copy so you can home gate like a pro. All right, so let me get my ingredients. It's a lot going on in this recipe, so I had to make room. All right, so first things first, what I have is Alabama white sauce is mayo based. So what I have in here is about 3/4 cup of mayo. And make sure you use real mayo, right? It makes a world of difference. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and I'm going to use about a teaspoon of whole grain mustard. All right, so a teaspoon of whole grain mustard is going to go in. And the heat in this is going to come from two parts. It's going to come from cayenne, but it's also going to come from horseradish. Horseradish has a little bit of heat, not heat like cayenne, but more kind of like the back of your throat type of heat. So a heaping tablespoon of that is going to go in. All right, so let's get this down. I'm also going to add some apple cider vinegar. So about 1/4 cup of apple cider vinegar. Next liquid that's going to go in is going to be some lemon juice. All right, so it's going to be about 1/4 cup. So if you have a really juicy lemon, about medium size, that should yield about 1/4 cup. So all I'm going to do is just cut this in half. Make sure I don't catch my seeds right there. There we go. Perfect. Seeds in the trash. Perfect. So remember, you can shoot your questions. I have a little tablet right here that I can get all of your questions. All right, so I'm just going to whisk this to combine. Perfect. Drew Davis asks, what's your favorite dish to cook and eat? Drew Davis, first off, what's up? Wow. I taste food for a living. Been a part of Food Network. I travel all around the country, tasting food, judging food. But 100%, I got to say barbecue. That was the first thing that I really and truly learned how to cook outside of my grandmother's biscuits was barbecue. So anytime I get a chance to travel and taste some barbecue from different regions of the country, I'm all for it. Or I got a big smoker right outside right there. It's about 8 feet tall. So I'm always smoking and cooking meats right here at the house. So good question there, Drew. All right, so all of my liquids are in. Now it's time to add the spices. So all that's really going to go in here is I have some cayenne and I have some white sugar. So I have 2.5 teaspoons of white sugar, and that's going to be paired with 1 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. All right, so got to add some salt and then also some black pepper as well. Remember, this recipe is in my book, Game Day Eats. So, and that's it. We're going to whisk this up, and this is what it looks like. And the longer it sits, the better it gets. So that's why when I make this barbecue sauce, I always making it something where I could just put a lid on it, keep it in the refrigerator, or I put it in a mason jar, just keep it in my refrigerator, because In my opinion, it's good on everything. I put it on burgers. I'm putting it on wings today. It's not just for smoked chicken. Got any more questions out there? All right, so I'm gonna set this to the side. The lid somewhere. There we go. All right, so white sauce is done. So what I want to do now is I want to get into the actual wings itself. So what I like to do is, it's your personal preference, but for me, when I'm cooking chicken wings, I have a whole section in my cookbook that's dedicated to chicken wings, and not just buffalo wings. I have garlic herb wings. I have some honey gold wings made with Carolina style honey gold barbecue sauce. So many different types of wings in there. But it doesn't matter what the recipe is. What I like to do is I buy the wing whole. You know what I mean? So that I can utilize it in a couple of different ways. So I've kind of broken them down already, but I want to show you how I like to break my wings down if you don't know how. All right. So first things first is I like to just slice right there where the tip and the wingette kind of meet, and I like to expose that bone. So you can see that joint right there, and all you do literally is just go right in there, and you have to cut it off. And what I do is I save these because this is how I make my chicken stock, right? So I keep these in the refrigerator over time, and then when I get enough, I use it to make my chicken stock. From there, what I like to do is just separate. So I go right in that joint, and make sure you use a sharp knife, and you gently just want to expose that joint so that when you expose it, you can see it, and then you're just able to literally just go around it and cut like so, and then you have two pieces. All right, so that's basically what I've done for all of my wings, about 2.5 pounds, which is what this recipe calls for. I just touched some raw chicken, so what I need to do now is wash my hands really quickly. All right, I'm back. Okay, so here's the thing. So what I'm going to be doing is so many different things you can use to fry chicken with. I especially love using things like a mixture of coatings. So I like to use either half parts flour, half parts cornstarch, or I like to use rice flour because I really like a nice, thin, crispy coating as opposed to, like a really thick double coating when it comes to wings, because you really want to taste the, whatever you coat it with. In this case, we're going to be using this gochujang sauce. So I want to make sure that that sauce comes through and not overpowered by just like a thick coating, right? So smooth this out. Gonna give this a flip because it has raw chicken on it, like so. All right, so what I have here in my bowl is a 50-50 blend of AP flour and cornstarch. And all I've done is just kind of season it up with a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper. Now, I know a lot of people like to season their wings and season their coating as well, and I'm all for that. But for this particular recipe, I don't like to go crazy with the spices that I put inside of this flour mixture because, as you can see, I have a lot of stuff going on that's going to be going on the wing as well. So you want to make sure that you always have balance. So we have we have some fermented flavors. We have some soy, we have garlic, we have ginger. You saw what I put in the white sauce. So all I want to do is keep it very basic with the coating, just a little bit of salt and pepper. All right. So we know how to fry, right? So I had where is there she is. All right. So all I'm going to do is put my wings in, and I lightly season my wings too, just a little bit of salt and pepper. So wings are going to go in. Now, growing up, my grandmother used to have a paper sack, and that's how we would fry things. Put it in the paper sack, shake it up. But it's hard to get paper sacks nowadays, so I just like to use my bowl with a lid. Clean up is easy. You don't waste a lot of that flour. Oh, we got a question. Quentin asks, have you ever tried this recipe with turkey? Ooh, Quentin, good question. Have you ever tried this recipe with turkey wings or legs? Absolutely, you can use this with turkey wings. I actually have a recipe in the book that's similar to this. That has some of the similar ingredients with the gochujang. It has it's a Szechuan turkey leg that you actually make in the oven, but it's similar to this recipe. So 100% it can work with turkey wings and legs as well. What else we got? Somebody said. All right, Corey Mays asks, how long do you usually prep before game day? So for me personally, I like to get a lot of things done the day before because when it comes to game day with me, I'm doing a lot. I'm doing a lot, which is why I created this book to make things easier for you to make take the guesswork out of recipes and things like that. So it's a bunch of good recipes that's inside of this book. But for me, I'm probably about the day before. If I'm smoking meats for game day, probably 2 days. Let things marinate, or I cook like a brisket or something like that the day before. What else we got? Melinda Daniels asks, when you smoke your wings, how do you keep your how do you keep your skin crispy? My husband has a Traeger grill and struggles with that. All right, so very good question. Melinda asks, when you're smoking wings, how do you get the skin crispy? So what you do is there's a couple of things that you can do. For me personally, what I like to do is when you smoke your wings, you get to a point to where it's basically all the fat underneath the skin has rendered out and the skin actually doesn't get crispy. So I go in a two-part method. So I'll smoke my wings maybe at 275 for, depending on how big your wings are, for 30 minutes to get some of that smoke flavor because, you know, it's such a small protein, it really absorbs meat very quickly. And then you crank up the heat, right? So once you crank up the heat, it's basically going to allow that skin to crisp up. So try that, and it definitely will work. Or if you have, I know the Traeger, you can actually do hot grilling on there as well. So you smoke and then transfer it to a hot grill, like you would do a steak or something like that. And that will crisp up. And you only need to do that for about 5 minutes. And that'll get that skin nice and crispy. And you'll also have that smoke flavor still inside the chicken as well. Good question. All right, so let's take these out. So another tip, let me show you this. So to ensure that your wings are like extra crispy and the coating actually adheres to the chicken, this just doesn't pertain to just chicken. This is anything that you're frying. Once you coat it, you really want to let it sit for at least 10 to 15 minutes so that that coating really adheres to the chicken. And then you also want to make sure whatever you're frying, make sure that the surface is extremely dry. So you want to pat it and make sure it's dry. And that'll make sure that your chicken is extremely crispy. So I have my oil set, and this is peanut oil, but you can use any oil you want, canola oil, vegetable oil. I have this set at 355 degrees to 360 degrees because what I want is a temperature of 350 degrees. But what you have to calculate is that when you drop something into the fryer, that temperature is going to drop. So in this case, if I'm looking for 350, I like to take my temperature up to 360. So we're going to drop those in. Actually, I can fit a couple more. Good. Okay, so got any more questions over there? Let's see. Good. All right, so here is the star of the show. So my wings are going to take anywhere from about 8 to 10 minutes, depending on the size. These are fairly small, so they won't take that long, and I broken them down, so they won't take as long. Gives me perfect amount of time to show you the sauce. I'm telling you, once you make this sauce, you're going to be in love. So over medium-high heat, what I want to do is, so this is the actual gochujang. If you haven't used it before, if you haven't seen it before, it actually looks like, kind of like, think about a tomato paste, right? So it's sweet, it's smoky, and you can find it at any grocery store. Just go to kind of like the Asian aisle where you find like the soy sauce and things like that. It's definitely going to be there. You probably walked past it so many times you didn't even know it. So this is a half a cup. Make sure you get all of it. Ooh, thick. I'm telling you, so this gochujang is literally like umami in a bottle. All right, to that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in molasses. So this is equal parts gochujang, equal part molasses. So the gochujang has some smoky, has some heat to it. The molasses is going to give it some sweetness, but it's also going to help give it some depth as well. Soy sauce is going to go in. So we're going to add in soy sauce and make sure that you use light soy sauce. All right, you want to be able to control the seasoning in this recipe. All right, I'm also going to add in a little bit of brown sugar. And then just to loosen it up a little bit, because that gochujang is very thick, I'm going to add in a half a cup of water. So the first three ingredients are equal parts. So you have the soy sauce, you have the molasses, and you have the gochujang. Equal parts. So it's a half a cup, and a half a cup. Somebody asked, what model Cuisinart is this? All right, so I actually got this for Thanksgiving. So it's a fryer, but it's also a you can fry turkey in it, and it's a rotisserie. I forget the model, but if you look up Cuisinart turkey rotisserie, this will pop up. So you can actually deep fry and do rotisserie in here as well. And my turkey for Thanksgiving came out amazing. Okay, so let's get some flavor going on in here. So first things first, I have some ginger. All right, so, and this is about a teaspoon of ginger. And what I like to do is just cut little ribbons like that. If you don't know how to cut your ginger up, and you stack them. And then all I can do is just go back through with nice little ribbons like that, okay? You don't want big pieces of ginger because, you know, ginger has a little bit of heat to it, but it's not very pleasing just treating it raw like that. Perfect. So that's plenty of ginger right there. And then all I do is just go back through it. And just do a fine mix. Gonna add in our ginger. Gonna add about a teaspoon of garlic as well. Give that a good smash. And these are small pieces of garlic. If they were bigger, I probably would have used just one, but these are very small. So it gives about a teaspoon. What I like to do with my garlic, once I get to a good point, I like to add a little bit of salt to it. Whoa, don't drop your knife like that. Add a little bit of salt to it. And then just gently press it and let the salt break down the garlic. And that'll make sure you don't have any big chunks of garlic. And it also becomes kind of like a paste. And then you'll see once we do that again, it's gonna be nice. So see the difference? That's what you wanna see. So we're gonna get that in. Let's go ahead and give this a whisk. Maurice asks, have you sous vide your wings? You know what, Maurice? I haven't. I've never sous vide wings. I've sous vide a lot of things, but I've never sous vide wings. I'm usually a grill, bake, or fry type of guy when it comes to my wings. But I'm pretty sure if you sous vide and then just like flash fry it, pretty sure they'll be nice and juicy. All right, so that's done. Let's check our wings. Wings are coming along perfect, getting nice and golden brown. These are gonna take about 4 more minutes, 4 to 5 more minutes. So what I wanna do now is go ahead and get some shallots in there. And what I'm gonna do is just fine mince. So I'm gonna make a few cuts. And then you just wanna go against the grain, go about halfway. And I always use my palm, right? Use my palm so that I don't cut myself. And I like to go twice, like so. And then from there, you can get a nice fine mince. Perfect. So this is gonna go in. So simple as that. So now what we want to do is what we got. Melinda asked, what is the best sharpener to get for your knives, or what is a good brand of knives to buy? So for me personally, when it comes to knives, I hate to tell people what brand of knife to get because I feel like it's all personal preference. But here's what I will say is that make sure that your knife has a couple of different things. Like if you go on the cheaper side with your knife, then it's probably not going to last. If you spend a little money on knives, then they're going to last. And it's all about, it's so hard because like I have bigger hands, so I need like a bigger knife. For someone that has smaller hands, I wouldn't suggest getting a bigger knife, if that makes sense. So I will say this, just figure out what you like, spend a little bit of money. I'm not saying go crazy, and I guarantee you, you'll love it. Like this knife was given to me by some my friends over at Food Network, and this is a Gangshan, and I absolutely love it. But I would not suggest this for someone with small hands or someone that's not really advanced. I wouldn't really suggest that. But that's what I use. All right, so we're gonna let that reduce down. That's coming along very nicely. I figure I'll pull out the football platter for today. Feel like it's only fitting, right? There's my bowl. All right, so what I want to do now is go ahead because the sauce is where it needs to be. Coming along by the time the wings are done. I want you to get in there and see what that sauce looks like. Get my little taste test. Perfect. Perfect. All right, so what I want to do is I am going to cut up some scallions. And this is just only going to be for presentation, but it's also, believe it or not, it's going to give it a little bit of flavor as well. So I just like to cut off that tip like so. And all I'm going to do is just go against the grain like that, just to make it look pretty, like that, like so. Do a little bit more. All right, so perfect timing. Wings are done. I want you to see how golden brown these wings are. Getting off that excess. Wings are in. Sauce is done. So sauce is nice and reduced. You want to reduce that by about half, okay? Cut this off. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take these wings, I'm gonna give it a little bit of love with that sauce, like so. Get this a little bit of sauce. And this is how I would serve it for game day. Wings go down. And then we come back and hit it. Then I come back and hit it with the Alabama white sauce, like so. Drew asks, can we get the recipe to Grandma's Biscuits? Actually, you can. Uh, the recipe for Grandma's Biscuits is actually on foodnetwork.com. And I think it was just in the latest Food Network magazine, or it is in the latest Food Network magazine. I think it's on the front page. So you can definitely get Grandma Geraldine's recipe. So those beautiful scallions that we cut up, we drizzle those around like so. Nolan Harrison asks, how long should you fry your wings? Does that stay the same if you don't use flour? So you should, depend on the size of your wings. Wings usually take about 8 to 10 minutes. Is how long you should fry them. And that doesn't really change if you coat them or not. It's all about the size of your wings. You know, if you want to check with a thermometer, you always want to look for that, 160 to get your wings to. And that's what you want. Got any more questions before I get out of here? All right. So this is Eddie Jackson. I hope you enjoyed hanging out with me for this summer getaway 2021, sharing my delicious recipe for molasses gochujang wings with Alabama white sauce. Remember, this recipe is out of my book, Game Day Eats. So some of you lucky people out there are actually going to get this book autographed by me. I have fun hanging out with you. I hope you enjoy it and enjoy the rest of the getaway. Hopefully, I see you soon. Bye.
Yo, I thought I told you that we won't stop. Now what you gonna do with a school that got money much longer than yours and a team much stronger than yours? Violate me, this'll be your day. We don't play, mess around, be DOA, be on your way. Cause it ain't enough time here, ain't enough lime here for you to shine here. Deal with many women, but treat down's fair. And I'm bigger than the city lights down in Times Square. Yeah.